This is a Film Stories original podcast. Welcome back everyone to the Xcast. The truth is in here. I am your host Tony Black for our 5th Patron Roundtable, where we get on some of our wonderful patrons who contribute to the show and support the Xcast to discuss the X-Files. And in this episode, it's a bit of a special one really, because we are going to be coinciding a bit with the recent 25th anniversary of the show on the 10th of September. Obviously the pilot first aired in 1993, and we thought we had some ideas about what we do in the roundtable, but we thought let's do something about, our favourite moments in the run of the show. So we've gone for 25 moments over 25 years, and we're going to talk about some of our choice parts of the X-Files. And joining me for this episode is 3 new people on the Xcast. I'm really excited. It's great. It's all new people. I love it when we get new people on. It's cool. So, first off, to my, not literal left because we're in different countries, but is, to my left, is Dina Ferreri. Hello, Dina.
Hi.
Have I got your, we were talking before off air about getting your first names right, but have I got your second name right there?
You did, which also is commonly not pronounced correctly, but you did.
I am scoring today. I'm doing well.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well done.
Awesome. Whereabouts are you from, Dina?
I'm in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey.
Cool.
I've not gone far.
Excellent stuff. Okay. Just so everyone gets an idea of the geography of where everyone's calling from. And to Dina's left, that Dina's left. Otherwise, because Dina's right is me. So Dina's left is Katie Doe.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Katie. Where are you from?
I am from Massachusetts, so I'm from there, and I also still live here in the western part, so I haven't gone far either.
Awesome. Massachusetts is, am I right in thinking that's like not a million miles from New York way or something like that?
No, just a couple hours north.
Away.
Yeah,
okay.
Part of New England, yep.
Cool, okay, New England, right. I sort of know where I am there. And to Katie's left, which is my right, because we're sitting at a metaphorical 4 table, in my head, is, now I'm going to get your surname wrong, so let's see. I better do right. Jocelyn Rojas.
Yes.
Did I get it right? Did I get it right?
Yeah. Cool.
Oh yes.
I mean, it's kind of tough to have the R's that we have, so it's actually really well how you said it. It's totally fine.
Bring it home.
It will be
Tony.
Rojas,
yes.
But that's fine.
Rojas, excellent.
Nice.
Okay.
Better. Oh, nice, Tony.
Excellent.
Nice.
Right, and where are you calling from, Jocelyn Rojas?
I live in Boston, but I am from Venezuela.
Amazing.
So
I
I
work
did
with
jump the
someone
punt
from Venezuela.
somehow.
Actually. Yeah.
Massachusetts?
Yep, I live in Boston, yes. Been here for 3 years. It's going to be my anniversary in 5 days, actually, so this is like a gift. So thank you for having me.
No, it's awesome. So you're kind of all in the similar sort of hemisphere, aren't you? You're sort of not a million miles from each other, I guess, really.
Yeah, we should need to have something live, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, we're just kind of all clustered together.
Exactly.
You can
East
start
Coast.
the
I don't know.
first...
It doesn't feel that clustered. I mean, Katie's a good 5-hour drive from me, but
You can get here.
but you can drive it. You can drive it.
We could all just go to New York and meet there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you live too far from New York, Dina. Do you live like...
Oh, no. I actually live part-time in New Jersey and part-time in New York, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I can get to Brooklyn very easily.
Nice.
There you go. The East Coast chapter of the Xcast is already taking formation. I like it.
Nice.
And
Planning a
you're
road trip.
You're talking to a Brit, right? And that for us, like far away is like 45-minute drive. Do you know what I mean? We're such a small island that everything is like, I went to America once. And I did a road trip, And I'll never forget the sat nav. We were coming up from New Mexico and we were going to LA, and the sat nav said, "Turn left for 1,000 miles." And we were like, that's like longer than the entire UK. We were like, what? Wow.
Yeah, and just one turn, just go to the left forever.
Yeah, basically.
Go to the left.
Yeah.
It's your only choice.
Until you hit ocean. That was essentially what it
was. Stay to your west.
Yeah. So
you were doing drive, basically.
Yeah, running out of west.
Yeah, I was basically Crump. Yeah, absolutely. Except my head didn't explode, thankfully.
Thankfully.
It ended well.
No, and also there was no pain if you actually would stop.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, and that's a nice little segue to get us in to the topic at hand, which is, of course, our 25 favourite moments of the X-Files. And you're joining me for the first time on the X-Cast to talk about this, which is awesome. And we're just going to go around. We're going to go around this, this theoretical table that we're all sitting at, even though we're in different parts of the world. And we're going to pick out... We've all come up with... Well, you guys have come up with 6, and I've come up with 7, because my maths is terrible, and I forgot to get a 5th person in to join us to do 5 each. So, that's, what can you do? So, yeah, we're just going to do that. I'm going to kick us off with the first one. And we're going to spend a few minutes talking about each one. And I'm going to start with... and this will be a shock to everybody. So brace yourselves, okay? Because this is going to fry your brains, anyone who listens to the X-Cast. All right?
It's like Outlanders.
Yeah.
Outlandish thought.
I am going to start with my favourite episode... Fearful Symmetry. No, push it, okay? Right.
Dude, I like Fearful Symmetry. Don't push it.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to end the call there, Jocelyn. It's been nice talking to you.
We can discuss this.
I missed you there.
But yeah, I'm going to talk about the final scene in Pusher, the Russian roulette scene in Pusher, which is
so good.
Yeah. By the end of the episode, where Mulder's battle with Robert Patrick Modell, aka Pusher, has reached a fraught conclusion, and he's put the whammy on him fully, and he's sitting there in the hospital, and Scully comes in, and it's just it's the deer hunter, basically. It's the Russian roulette scene.
Indeed.
And I don't know about you, I think this could be the best climactic scene of any episode, and I know I'm biased because it's my favourite, but. I don't know. What do you guys think? I love this scene.
It's so tense.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the tension is just like you can cut it with a knife and you don't know. You know he's not going to shoot. Well, you hope he won't shoot her, but like... It's,
well, we don't
really know. You don't know.
He's under the whammy, but he actually overcomes it.
But
the macro expressions that they both have, they're like priceless. It is one of the best actings ever. Tony really has a point in the intensity of it.
And like Mulder's just fighting it so hard. Not for himself, but for Scully. He's
indeed
really trying to rein it in.
Yeah, but you can see it in his face, his arms, even his hand, the way he shakes. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's everything's just like coiled like a spring in that, and you just. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know that like it's not going to end with him shooting himself in the head and killing Scully, because that's the end of the show. But at the same time, you know that. Like you can see, it's when he says, "I'm gonna kill you, Modell," like that. He's fighting. That's the bit that gets me every time he says that to him, and he's like, "Pull the trigger, go for it," like this. And he's like, you can tell he's close. And if it wasn't for Scully having that clever idea to pull the fire alarm, then who knows what would have happened. He probably would have shot her actually, and that's it. That's the thing. It's just so good. It's a great way to end the best episode of the X-Files.
Yeah.
the best. Okay, there is there is discussion. It's fine because it's just my opinion. But no, there is no discussion. It's the best.
We are all biased. Yeah, we're all biased. But I think one of the things that I would like to know about the scene is what images were going through his head, to Mulder's head, when he says, "I'm going to kill you," because whatever he was seeing or listening to in his head was so frustrating. And yet so commanding. So that line carries that. I would have loved to know that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it would have been interesting to know that. It's just all perfectly put together. So that's my number one. That's my first one. Well, these aren't in order necessarily. These are just like moments we've picked that we love. So,
but we know that this is your first.
Yeah, I had to start with Pusher. Had to. So Let's go to my left to Dina. And what's your first one going to be, Dina?
Okay, so my first one is when Mulder screams in Jose Chung's From Outer Space. And partly it's just, how did David Duchovny get that noise to come out of his body? It's so weird. And it's just like so perfectly bookended by a completely blank face. Like there's nothing going on. There's no reaction whatsoever except for the scream. And and then of course that gets followed up with like, yeah, that's a bleeping dead alien body if I ever bleeping saw one.
I love
it adds to it.
I love the bleepings.
It's the use of the word bleep is
bleepings and blankety blanks and
yeah. I can never say that. I mean, I cannot say that.
It's detective manners. You feel like talking to this blank hole.
Blank hole. That's the best.
That's the best one. But yeah, the Yelp is brilliant. I mean, it's gone down in complete lore, and to the point that for the XCast, as you'll have seen, that Jeremy Daniels, one of our other patrons, is doing these great pieces of artwork, with the Scullyisms and Mulderisms, and for Jose Chung that's coming up soon, it is the Yelp moment that he's drawn, and it just says it all. It does leap out at you in an episode full of just comic gold as well. Totally stands out. That's a really good one. Yeah. I like it.
You could probably pick 25 moments just from Jose Chung.
Yep.
You could. You really could. That's true. It's wonderful. Yep. And as I say, our episode on Jose Chung is in the can. It's coming up very soon, guys. So stay tuned for that. Okay, Katie, what's yours? What's your first one?
Okay. Also not really in order, but I wanted to start with this one because I just love this shot. Maybe it ties for the most tense ending of a show. So Anasazi.
Yes.
At the end.
Yes.
I love it. Oh my God. So from the time that, Mulder calls Scully on the phone and they're talking, he's describing the bodies and she's describing what's in the documents and, tests and aliens and they're not human and merchandise and smallpox. Like my favorite though is when he says, "Oh my God, Scully, what have they done?"
Yeah.
And the door just slams shut. The way he's filmed, like rising up in silhouette, and it just that sound of the door just punctuates it, and then it's just done. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
the entire scene. Oh.
It is brilliant, yeah, and I love Mark Snow's music in that scene as well. Because it's like this ticking sort of metronome in the background. It's this. You can feel it building. You can feel the gravity of what he's just discovered actually, and what he's talking about. It really sort of you realise that this is something that this takes everything to another level. What he's found and the conclusions that they're drawing based on this. Yeah,
like this is serious proof, and it leads into later
right.
The smallpox texting and the tracking through that, and just the 731. Are they human? Are they alien? Are they hybrids? Are they lepers? You don't know.
Yeah.
So this is kind of all built onto it, but just that one little line and that one little shot just is so good.
Oh my God, what have they done? It's wonderful, isn't it? It's so good. And then you have a good ending beat of the burn it. With the smoking man, which is ace. Burn
Nothing
it.
vanishes without a trace.
Yeah. It's just a fantastic way to end the episode. Definitely. That's a great one. That's a really good one. Yeah, I really like that. They've all been good so far. Jocelyn, keep it going. Keep the streak going. Okay. Hit us with your first one.
Okay, my first one will be when Mulder enters the warehouse in Erler Mayer Flask, and he sees the bodies on the water, and he's just looking at them, and then they actually move. That is just brilliant. That is brilliant in every way. How the camera is positioned, the yellow lighting, his face. Like I want to touch it and see if it's actually real. I want to get in there and see if you're breathing. The whole setting of that scene is just amazing. Although I think that Erler Mayer is like one of the best, and I think it's one of the best endings we have ever had for a season because of the gravity of the data we have, of the science that is being used, and it's just brilliant in many, many ways, and it's not the point here. But that scene, how it's edited, how his point of view changes when he sees the tanks, it's just amazing. And then you can compare it when the warehouse is actually empty.
Were they even here? Yeah.
Yes. Like, was I dreaming it? I mean, were they real? And then, Deep Throat comes from behind. Hello there, Agent Scully. We meet ever so briefly. That line, I love that line. But the basic scene that I love is the scene when he sees actually the bodies inside the tanks.
And it's just out of the corner of your eye, too. It's not focusing on the body moving.
Yes.
You don't see it right away like Mulder does. He just turns and...
Yeah, so we see it first somehow. Yeah. So it is actually, we're waiting to see him look at this thing that we're seeing first. It's brilliant.
And it is another, like Katie's one in Anasazi, it is another one of those moments where Mulder goes, oh wow, what the hell is going on with this? There's more. And that's why I love Early My Fask is my favourite season finale, I think.
Yeah, when he looks up.
Yeah. It is that moment, another one of those moments where there is more to this than he ever imagined. And it does these really well. It's a similar one. I think Anasazi then sort of builds on that, really. It sort of feels like the natural successor of that scene in many ways, just a season later.
I can agree with that. It's cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's a really good one.
I was stuck with the word merchandise for ages. Why did they choose to use that word? So it actually fits with the Eller Major tanks. And
it's a dehumanizing word, isn't it? It's
exactly
just treating them like nothing. And it's that whole syndicate Nazi parallel, really, isn't it?
And again, just the cinematography of that scene, the sound, like you have that sort of breathing effect in the background.
Yes.
And just Mark Snow's music and the way it just pans in and it sucks you right in.
Yeah, it does.
That scene is brilliant.
The coloring, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the best in every way.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to go for my next one. I'm going to edge my first one into the comedy area, I think. And I'm going to go for the moment in X-Cops. You may know which moment I'm going to say, but the moment in X-Cops where Mulder says to Scully, "I don't think it's live television, Scully." She just said, "Fuck," with the beep, with the beep. That I was already.
And she's like, "What?"
She's like, "Yeah." Scully, if anything, like that episode, Mulder's got some great lines in that and some great improvisation you can tell from David Duchovny, and the whole thing is really fun. But I just love Gillian Anderson through that because she plays Scully as someone who's completely bemused and detached from the camera.
She's so mortified.
Yeah,
she constantly trying to hide from the camera.
Yeah, she hides but
it's like, I hate you guys.
Doors.
I hate you guys. Yeah. She finds him in the closet and just slams the door on them and says, "I hate you guys."
She hates it.
But that is what so many people would be like, whereas that's what's great. It's very real. I think it's very real. The way she reacts all the way through that is very real. People will be like, "Oh my God," especially people trying to do a job. You've got this camera in your face. It's like, piss off. I'm busy, right? I'm doing things. And whereas Mulder's quite enjoying it, really, in many ways.
He's like,
it's time to shine.
Come with us. Let me take you. Let me take you here. Look at this.
He is.
Let me explain to you the urban myths that we're seeing now.
With all these baffled, bemused cops who are just and he's talking about, spirits and all this sort of werewolves, and they're just like, right, okay.
Scully just shakes her head like, I cannot shut him up now.
Yeah,
it's live TV.
Why are you talking about this on the TV, Mulder? People already think we're nuts. Now all of America are going to think we're crazy.
But the FBI has nothing to hide.
Yeah, that's the best line. Yeah. And she says so in front of the camera.
Smiling.
The FBI has nothing
to hide. That's true. So yeah, I love X-Cops. I really do. It's one of my favourite episodes.
Yes.
It's so good. But yeah, I just love that line. That's just one of my favourite lines ever from the show. Dina, then, what's number 2 for you? What's your second one?
Okay, so I have in Nisei, when Scully goes to visit Betsy Hagopian, and then they call all the women from the MUFON group over, and they all hold up the chips that they removed from the back of their necks, all in different little containers. That's spooky.
It is.
That's tense.
And it's one of those, like you mentioned about the Erlenmeyer flask, where you see how big this is, because this is just this small, Allentown, Pennsylvania. It's this one small geographical area, and it's all of these women. And you see, like, not only the scope of it, but just like, eventually they go visit Betsy Hagopian and they tell Scully that she's dying. And so it's just like the massive scope, but also the massive human cost.
Yes.
And so many people who have been victimized, and it really freaks Scully out. Like, Scully doesn't get rattled all that much, but this really rattles her because they're all acting like they know her, and she has such fuzzy memories. And that moment really stands out for spookiness.
It's really chilling, isn't it? Because it is one of those situations where imagine if it was imagine if you'd vanished, you disappeared and you didn't know what happened to you, and then suddenly a year later you meet a group of women who are dying who then say, yeah, well, we know we saw you, we know where you went, sort of. And it would really, really unsettle you. And it totally makes sense that Scully wouldn't be able to shake that off, and the way it's, like, it's funny how you guys are choosing. It's really interesting, actually, how you guys are choosing moments that connect to the human cost of the mythology. It's been a common thread between what you all said, actually, which is really interesting. Yeah, in that all of these examples are about people who are being either abused, exploited, or created in a lab or something like that in order for this nefarious purpose. And it's amazing how much that is in the show, isn't it, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's part of the fear of the unknown, and that she suffers throughout the show.
It's Scully realizing that in addition to being someone who's trying to fight against this conspiracy, she's also someone who has been victimized by it, which is a
but
difficult
she never
thing
realized how much she was victimized. That is the thing.
Yeah. I mean, violated, but
at that
exactly.
point, she didn't know just how badly she was used.
Exactly.
It brings it home, doesn't it? And then it's the first. Obviously, it's sort of the beginning of the cancer arc, really, without her knowing that she's got cancer yet. But it sort of kicks that off, and then that's a great one. That's a really good one. It does send a chill down your spine. I agree. It really does. Yeah. Katie, what about you then? What's your number 2?
Okay, I am going back to the very beginning. Deep Throat.
Cool.
So the end of that episode, when he's talking to Mulder on the athletic track, and they have that very short conversation, but just like with a few lines, it gets home like the message of basically the entire series, where it's going to go. It's sort of Mulder's resolve is cemented. He doesn't know what he witnessed. He knew he saw something, but he doesn't know what it is. And that's kind of the story of the whole show. Like, he keeps seeing things. He doesn't know what it is. He keeps losing evidence. He has no proof, but he's still going to keep on going and trying to figure it out. And just, why are those not dissuaded? Because the evidence is not entirely dissuasive.
Yeah.
So it's that hope to keep on going and keep trying to expose these people. And just that last line, Mr. Mulder, they've been here for a long, long time. It's like, oh, that's a chill down your spine too. Yeah. It's just so very matter of fact. Like, yeah, they're here. You don't really know. You don't know what they're doing, but they're here, and I might help you now and then.
It's the way he delivers that line. Jerry Hardin is really interesting. It's almost like a teacher sort of suggesting, well, you should know this already.
Yeah,
it's a bit, well, they've been here for a long, long time. Like, come on.
Yeah,
think
kind of
about
bemused almost. Yeah, sort of smiling a little bit.
Yeah.
As he walks away.
Come on, Mulder. This is obvious. This isn't something that's just happening now. This has been here forever. This is something that when you think about that, and kudos to Jerry Hardin, who was brilliant in that role, but he really straight away put that inflection in a line which could have been delivered in all kinds of ways. It could have been that they've been here a while or something like that. Very bland, very basic. But he doesn't. He gives it that, and it does sell that moment. That again, another moment of Mulder going, "Whoa,
yes.
This is big. This is so much bigger than on the fact." And I think, I don't know about you guys, I think that in a way, I think Deep Throat is a better pilot than the pilot for the show.
Yeah.
In a way, because even though the pilot's good, and the pilot obviously does things that Deep Throat doesn't, but I always, in a way, I feel like Deep Throat's the first one where a lot of it clicks. Yes. In terms of the alien stuff and everything. But
yeah, and you get the sense the government is involved too.
Right. Which isn't really there in the pilot as much, is it? There's suggestions, but yeah, that's a great scene. Great scene, and it, it informs a lot of what's to come. A lot of what we then find out, like in things like Fight the Future, and over the next few seasons. So it's ace.
I think it shows the difference between the well-manicured man and Deep Throat in regards to how he helps them, how he helps them throughout the years. Because, as you said, he sounds like a father. Like, dude, you should have known this before. I mean, you have been reading this for a while, whatever it is. But the well-manicured man is more intimidating in how he presents his evidence, even though he wants to help. It's more like it's like always showing that it's actually worse than what I'm telling you. Well, I don't know. It seems more villainy.
No, it is, but it's also cowardly as well. In that,
yes,
Deep Throat may have been involved in a lot of stuff, but he was quite heroic, really. He really put himself on the line. Well-Manicured Man didn't really do that. The only time Well-Manicured Man offered up information was when either the conspiracy were a little bit boxed in and they needed Mulder to sort of do something that would sort something out, or when he knows he's going to kill himself, when he blows himself up. So it's, do you know what I mean? He doesn't really want to be Mulder's informant, which is why you don't see him a lot with Mulder, really. I think they meet like three times.
With Scully, it's more, I think.
Yeah. Deep Throat is being much more altruistic, sort of in his.
Yeah. That's the right term.
Desire.
Yeah. He knows that Deep Throat knows that there is that they what they're doing is wrong, whereas I think the well-manicured man has a line that they cross that he's not comfortable with, but I think ultimately if the circumstances had been right, he would have just sacked the entire world off and protected his own. Whereas I think Deep Throat genuinely wanted Mulder to try and stop this, which is why he then dies for him, really. He sacrifices himself for him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they're different. But yeah, that's true. Oh, we need to do an episode on the Deep Throat well-manicured man. There's a lot more to talk about there.
Yeah, and X too. The difference between X and Deep Throat.
Yes,
and Marita.
Yes, Marita.
Everyone.
Oh my God,
we need to do
Marita.
an informants episode.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm bookmarking that. I'm writing it down. I'm bookmarking it in my head. Okay, so Jocelyn, what's your second one then?
My second one would be from I Want to Believe. There's a line that Scully says, "Don't you quote scriptures to me?" And that when she says that to Father Joe, that's like my favorite line from the whole movie, honestly. Because she owns her faith in many ways there, which we haven't seen a lot from maybe after All Souls, if I'm not mistaken. So that line, when she actually tries to defy the message from a messenger that she doesn't think that he's worthy of it, I really like it. I think it's brilliant, and it conveys with what it's been repeated throughout the movie, which is the Proverbs 25:2. So this going back and forth between what I'm telling you to do or what you should do, or what this message may come from God and you should be able to hear it, but who are you to tell me these things because you're a pedophile and you bothered 37 other boys. That banter, I find it really, really good, because it goes back to what Scully has always been, and she has always been two things, or two sides of things. She has always been a dichotomy between her faith and her science. So I like that. I love that line.
That's great, and it's nice that you've picked something from I Want to Believe there, which a lot of people don't. I mean, I count myself as one of them. As you remember, if you were listening to the live debate, in which
I was writing in that chat like a maniac.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was all about how there were two sides, really, to I Want to Believe. There's Marlene and Ross who were, voicing how much they think great they think it is, and Brooker was very much, it's rubbish. And I was more in the Brooker camp, but a bit more central. But it's true, it's picking out things. And I think you're right that it kind of is the first story to explore Scully's religion after like 5 years. Yeah, I don't think they do it, do they? In the LA years,
because all things is more alternate in the sense that it's Western, Eastern religion, Eastern faith, or something. But her cross, her faith, her whatever she was talking about before All Souls, and from since Beyond the Sea. We only see it now, and she's defined that crisis of faith that she actually has. I'm not saying that she's in good terms. She has a crisis of faith, and this person who is a pedophile who is not a worthy messenger, but he's delivering a message. The problem is that people get hung up in the messenger and not what they're trying to say. That's why exhortation is so tough. You're not seeing the message, you're just seeing the messenger. So this banter that they have, I think it's just brilliant. And that line is just owning what she believes in, and I loved it.
That's fascinating.
Although, if you think about it, she never quotes the Bible. The one who does the Bible quoting is actually Mulder. In The Field Where I Die, in Babylon, in I think even in Revelations, he's the one who actually quotes the whole thing. She never does that. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't know it.
Yeah.
So this part I love.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a great one. That's a really good one. I'm going to stick with Scully for my third one, since we're on the subject. Going much further back to the episode Fresh Bones.
Oh, nice. Oh, 20 nice.
The sort of, I termed it the voodoo attack. When she's in the car, and it's at the climax where Mulder's out trying to stop, I think it's Colonel Wharton, isn't it? It's the US military guy who's, tapped into all the voodoo stuff. And he's out there in this spooky, brilliantly shot graveyard. I think it's Rob Bowman who's directing, so you get all this really interesting, atmospheric direction. With all the smoke coming up through the grave, this open grave, where all this voodoo stuff's going on. But in the car, Scully then has this terrifying. I think I talked about it in the live show, but it's terrifying scene where she has this sort of voodoo, sort of curse vision or whatever it is, where
hallucination maybe.
Yeah, like hallucination, where she just ends up with a bleeding from her mouth. This voodoo guy sort of puts his hands through her hand, like it turns to tissue. It's just terrifying. It's just, I remember, it really is scary. And I always, Fresh Bones isn't necessarily massively fondly remembered by people, but I think it's I think it's one of the great examples of a really scary horror story.
In terms of fear, it has the best lines of fear. That one and Blood.
Yeah.
That terrified me when I first saw it.
Yeah. It's just scary. Yeah. It's just scary because it's so. I suppose the one that comes close in a way is when she has a vision in the Sixth Extinction, when she's in the car and she sees the tribal guy, and he and she freezes, and he sort of puts his hand on her and says, "This is not for you." And that, but it's not the same kind of thing. In this one, it's just a pure sort of voodoo attack.
Yes, she's not being physically attacked and choked. No. Like the scream that comes out of her, like it doesn't sound like her.
No.
But yet she's seeing blood coming out of her mouth in the mirror. So it's like, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? She's awesome.
Getting paler, and the wound is getting more infected, and
the makeup is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is really good makeup, and it's horrifying. And she really gives it her all in just conveying that sheer panic and terror of what the hell is happening to me. And it's really scary. And then I always love how the cherry on the cake with Fresh Bones is that at the end you find out basically that the whole time the little boy was a ghost.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's
so
creepy.
How did he make that charm and give it to her, like a physical thing? How? Yeah. And it worked.
It did.
Like that she was desperate. The one thing she reached for was the thing that she kind of shrugged off in the beginning, but that, she has it in her hand, and suddenly it's over, and it's never spoken of again.
Don't worry about that, Scully.
Then you sort of ask, well, wait, did that really happen?
Did it happen? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It could have been all in her mind, but the fact that they both saw the same boy, obviously, and then they just look at each other, don't they? As if to go, what? Like, but whenever people argue that Scully, by the end of the show, should have been a lot more believing, I think you almost have to turn around to things like this and go, Scully, come on, that was a ghost. Come on.
She should have believed since, and her mayor flask.
Exactly.
You can brush it off. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Don't worry that a ghost saved your life with a voodoo charm. It's fine. Okay, so that's a moment of Scully terror. Dina, what about your third one then?
Okay, my next one is the silence at the end of Never Again.
Oh yeah,
which is it's really sad. I mean, it's like it's heartbreaking, but I think it's also. I mean, there's like a beautiful part of it. I mean, one thing I like about Never Again is it acknowledges that there's a negative side, that there's a darker side to Mulder and Scully's relationship, that there's like that it's all encompassing, but it's also not like complete. Like they're not really life partners, and maybe they're not as close or don't know each other as well as they think. And but despite all that, it's the relationship that they have chosen. And so Scully's she's questioning her decisions, but in the silence, it's like nobody, they sit and they're not really looking at each other. They're not talking to each other, but it's also really clear that no one's going anywhere. So it's sort of like a point of no return in the relationship. Like, this is what we're choosing. They're just sort of saying, I don't understand you right now, but I choose us, and I'm always going to choose us. And so partly it's, as sad as it is, it's a strength of their partnership moment too.
I do agree with it.
That's a good description. Yeah.
That's a great description. That's really good. I'm going to make sure Darren Mooney listens to this, because when we do Never Again next year, like, that's a great point we need to bring up, because that is exactly what it is. I think it is about that. So that commitment in spite of the fact that they are both in very different places. And Scully is going through this crisis because she knows that she could have a terminal disease. She knows that she could be facing something she's never going to come back from, and questioning everything. And Mulder doesn't know that, at this stage, and he's just trying to carry on as normal. But it's interesting. But what I love about what Glenn Morgan and James Wong do with that is that they sort of put the question out there of, if these were real people, when you think about it, Scully gets swept along with Mulder's quest, and every day she comes into the office and he's got another, set of files. He's like, okay, we're going off to Florida. Look, we're going to go and catch a big blue, or oh, Scully, there's been another alien UFO crash. I'm going to go and find that out. And she then just goes, oh, okay, well, and goes off with him. But what happens on the day when she's like, is there more than this? Is this where we should be? And it does that in different ways at different points. It does it in some parts of season 6 and season 7 and things like that. But this one, it's so clever from what you've just said, and because it isn't about a plot reason, in a way, it's about her as a person, and that's so good, so well done. Katie, what about you then?
Okay, let's see here. I guess, let's go with Paperclip.
Nice.
And
always good.
Skinner. The best Skinner part in Paperclip ever. When he tells the Smoky Man to kiss his ass.
Katie, do you hear that? Do you hear that sound? Do you hear that? That sound is Sarah Blair going, right now.
When I picked this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Carry on.
Skinner in that moment, he's just so, like, he knows he doesn't have the tape. He's bluffing. He's totally whatever. He has the Smoking Man just kind of, the Smoking Man. Everyone knows that they're bluffing and no one's telling the truth. But Skinner has this, card up his sleeve with Albert, just hiding in the closet, I guess, and he brings him out. And CSM is just so taken aback, and Skinner is just like, this is my moment to just tell you where you can shove it, basically. Yeah. And it's kind of the first time that he's done that, to his face. He's been helping Mulder and Scully before, behind the scenes, like giving Mulder his address in one breath, or, putting up his little non-smoking sign, but not really standing up to CSM to his face. And he's totally just choosing, the light side in this moment, and he's, not going to go back. And I love it. It's just a great line, and the way he is just, just macho, putting himself out there, and this is my choice, and you can just, kiss it.
It begins a season of them trying to find different ways to compromise Skinner. Mm-hmm. In the, obviously, when he gets shot, when they try and, do what they can in Avatar, because there's hints they're trying to basically ruin his name in that as well. They're sort of lurking in the background of that story as well.
Yeah. Oh, so he pays for it. Yeah.
They know that he's a threat, in that sense, and then So yeah, it's a great moment that kicks that off. It's just it will always be Skinner's finest hour, really, won't it? I think
it makes you kind of want to cheer when he says that.
Yeah.
I did really cheer.
Yes,
yes,
fatality. He was, and I think
it was unexpected. In many ways.
But you're also at the end of an episode where Mulder and Scully have been piled on so much, and for the last 3 episodes, that you need a little bit of a victory, I think, and that was the little bit of a victory moment to the Smoking Man to say, we're fighting back a little bit here, and you can't do anything about it. You are boxed in, mate, and that's good. great moment.
Yep, I enjoyed that.
Great, yeah, it's a great moment. Nice. Great moment. Jocelyn, you're number 3 then.
I'm gonna keep with the same episode, but I'm gonna choose an earlier line. You will see, since you guys know me now, that I'm a big fan of the well-manicured man. Even though he's not the greatest, he delivered the greatest lines in the sense of how he wanted to be received. So there is this line where he says, "Oh, poor Victor. He loved his orchids. Did you know that he was able to create some of the most beautiful hybrids?"
Yeah.
He just says there the whole point of the whole show.
Yeah.
He just says everything there in that so softly delivered line. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose. Then Mulder just keeps asking, is my father involved in this? Did he know? Did they use the records? Do they have the tissue? You're on the records. There are new records from abductees. So that line sets up what we had seen before, since the beginning of the show, and what we'll see towards, let's say, season 7. So, and it combines really well with what was presented later on in Founder's Mutation, with all the things that the Founder was doing. So, but how he says that line, you were right. You came to see the right man, but now the man is gone. He died of a heart attack this morning, here in his garden, with his creation. So he literally died because of his creations, and so this type of back and forth of how he says it, I think that's just brilliant.
Feels as well that there's almost a little bit of it's almost like he's taking pleasure in seeing Mulder try and figure things out.
Indeed.
In that when he says hybrids, he says it with such a little twinkle in his eye,
the most
because
beautiful hybrids.
He knows that
with a half smile.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because then Mulder's then, oh, okay, this is what this means. This is what this means. He won't just give him information, and out of it, with people like Deep Throat and X, it was always that with that level of, this isn't good news. This is important. This isn't good stuff. But you need to know it. Whereas the manicured man's a little bit more like, I like having all this knowledge, and I'm going to give you a little bit because it will, help me, and then you have to jump through my conclusions, jump to my hoops, and it's a great scene. It's a really good scene. John Neville was just brilliant.
No, he was brilliant.
He was a great actor. I mean, he was a pretty casting coup as well for them, because he had such a background in. I think we talked about this in the Blessing Way episode, but he had such a background in British theatre and things like this before he moved to Canada that he was a real casting coup.
Oh yes, for many years, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sad when he was blown away in Fight the Future. I think he should have been the villain to continue, but that's just my choice.
I don't know. I kind of like the fact that he went out in one of the best ways that anyone's gone out. Just before he got to the point where he was repeating himself. He got out he went out in a hell of a way. So in some respects, it's great, really.
Yeah, I know.
But then they all die before their time. Most of them, don't they? They all go just at the point. Just at the point you're starting to like them.
and the one who should have been, just stay there. It didn't say that, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's true. Great one. Great choice. All
right.
I'm going to stick with conspirators and talk about the first proper clash between Mulder and the Smoking Man in one breath, which I think is one of the best. I mean, One Breath is probably my second favourite episode of the entire series, actually. I would say after Pusher. One Breath is a masterpiece of TV. And I think that scene where, Smoking Man's sitting there in front of his little TV and then Mulder busts in and furiously has him at gunpoint and says, "You're going to answer me, you son of a bitch!" It's just it's amazing because Mulder is at the end. He's ready to kill him. He's ready to blow him away. He's so angry at what's happened to Scully, and and everything. And Smoking Man just it's what he says. He says, look at me. I've got no wife, no family. And then he says, if you were to know the things that I know, it would all fall apart. And they essentially have this same conversation about 5 or 6 more times in the show, in different ways. Yes. Right up to probably My Struggle 2, which is, I mean, they sort of have a chat in My Struggle 4, but it doesn't last very long, does it? It's more like, hey, bang, 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 right? That's basically it. Whereas in My Struggle 2, they have another one of these chats, and they have one in The Truth, and they have one in One Son, and all it. But this one is the one for me. This is the one that just encapsulates everything about that relationship in this incredible way. And I don't know about you, I love that. I love that moment. It might be William B. Davis's finest scene actually as the Smoking Man as well. In a performance of brilliant moments.
He's just so calm sitting there with
Yes.
Just the way he says that deadpan line, it's who are you to decide what's right?
Yeah.
Who are you? If you knew what I knew, you'd think what I was doing was right.
That's true.
I like that a lot about the syndicate is that they're not pure evil. You actually sort of understand part of their logic, or at least where they started. And maybe it got really out of hand when they started, experimenting on people.
Yeah.
All that. But
terribly out of hand.
But you do wonder, well, if you were presented with this, aliens are going to colonize the Earth, and you could at least maybe save yourself and your family, what would you do?
This is why, I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, it's the whole thing of how Smoking Man, he's one of those, he's in that great pantheon of villains who think they're the hero. But that's why he doesn't work as well in the Revival series, because by the Revival series, he is basically just a supervillain, and he's trying to bring on this, deadly virus. He's just become he's radicalized himself into believing that this is the best way forward for humanity, and he can be a god. Now, I don't buy that he always felt that way. I don't think that was the case. He was obviously a darker soul than the rest of them, probably, which is one of the reasons that he endures and he's the supervillain of the piece. But it was just too, by the Revival series, he was just too much of a Bond villain.
It was sort of a caricature of
what
he was.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Whereas in like you're absolutely right, Dina. In this moment, he's more nuanced.
Right.
He's more of a nuanced character, and that sort of loses that by the time he post season 7. I think that kind of goes away. But
he's still shadowy too. You don't know a whole lot about him.
No.
Yep.
And that just makes it better.
Not until Musings.
Yeah.
Right.
If any of that's true.
If that's true.
I've always wanted to actually believe that scene where he actually goes into the room that is your favorite scene. It sort of resembles what he could have written. He could have written that scene for one of his books.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
So I've always thought that he actually predicted Mulder to go, and he was just ready to tell the lines he said.
That's nice. Yeah.
So
I like that.
Oh yeah, and it's got that line about don't try to threaten me, Mulder. I've watched presidents die.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Plural.
Such a pulpy line.
Plural. Yes, multiple presidents.
Yeah. You could definitely imagine that in a Jack Colquitt adventure.
Yes.
That he writes. So absolutely. That's a great line. It's just an amazing scene. It's an amazing episode in general. All right then. Where are we? Dina, what's your fourth choice?
Yeah. Okay, my fourth one is from the Sixth Extinction, Amor Fati.
Yes.
And this is when Scully is breaking Mulder out of his hallucination. So you're sort of going back and forth between the dream of Mulder as an old man, and he's in bed and dying, and he's talking to Scully in the dream, and then Scully's there in the room, and it flashes back and forth, and she's saying, "Mulder, help me! I need to get you out of here." And there's like a tear that drops from her eye and lands on his face, and it's that's a really cool moment where she's telling him it's not, you can't just rest and die. You have to keep going with the mission.
I like the fact that how we see her in that dream state is like as someone who is actually challenging him, but when the camera faces her in reality, she's like in desperation. It's two sides of this.
Yeah, but in both of them, she's the person that, like in the hallucination that Mulder has, like Scully's not there. Everyone else sort of fits into it and plays the role, but Scully's the one that brings him into reality, which is her role, in real life to like ground him in reality. So yeah, even though she's sort of being two different people, both of them are trying to bring him back.
Yes.
Well,
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's as she later says. It's as he later says, you're my touchstone, my constant, and that's exactly what that scene is. Yeah, it's great.
I love that one.
It's a great moment. Yeah, and I'm not gonna say too much about this because I'm coming back to that just before that scene in a little while, actually, with one of mine. So I'm going to come back to Amor Fati. But yeah, it's a great moment for Mulder and Scully's bond in terms of pushing them on further. Yeah, it's awesome.
In the apartment, Mulder says, "You were my friend and you told me the truth."
Yes,
like I love that one.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful final. Yeah, it's a beautiful final scene, isn't it? Because it's just lovely, and the affection they have is it's definitely one for shippers. That.
It doesn't have to be though. It doesn't have to.
But even if you're not a shipper, it's just
I am not.
It's not classifiable as that.
So nice.
It is so much more.
Oh no, I agree. But it's one of those bond moments, whether you're a shipper or not, really.
It's a deeper bond.
Yeah.
It's another decision moment, actually. The fact that she actually went there to save him is just another decision.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great moment. Katie, what's your number 4 then?
Okay. My number 4 is, I'm going back to One Breath. When Mr. X confronts Mulder in the parking garage.
Oh, yeah.
And they have this great back and forth, and you get a little more insight into X's character and kind of where he had started out. Like he was Mulder once, basically kind of full of promise, and then something happened and he got involved with this, deep, dark organization, and now he's just this hard, cynical, hiding in the shadows, always, fearing for his life, basically. He says, you got Deep Throat killed, you got Scully killed, that's not going to happen to me, I'm not, I'm just using you. But that whole speech, like all his lines of dialogue are so good back and forth, and Mulder is just desperate, and X is just trying to bring him back and just say, I used to be you. You're a damn schoolboy. You have no idea. Again, like you don't know what's going on. If you knew what I do. Afraid. Yeah. Oh, he's very afraid. He's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart like Deep Throat is. He's desperate for his life. And just his dialogue is great. Like this high capacity, compact, Sig Sauer 40 caliber weapon pointed at your head. Like you could have just said, "I'm pointing a gun at you because." But
no, he has to describe the gun.
Yeah, but you can see and hear, like he's just frantic. He's fearful. He is looking around himself, and I love at the end when he is just kind of describing just the way his life's ended up. He's not going to have a good life. He's probably going to die alone. And when he tells Mulder about Scully, walk away, grieve for Scully. You will be able to live yourself on the day you die. And I just love how that just trails off.
It feels like, there's loads of things with X. He really feels in that scene more than any other that he's a man who has glimpsed behind the veil, if you see what I mean. This is a man who has seen things that he can't ever unsee, or he knows things he can't ever unknow. And it is, as we later find out, it is the truth about colonization. The truth really about the fact that everyone's going to die in a matter of years, and he can't do anything about it. And it's that terror of... I always wanted to know what his story was. I didn't. I like the fact we don't know who he is and where he came from, but I've always been curious when he says, "I used to be you." What does that mean? Where was he? Yeah, who was he? Was he an FBI agent? Was he a cop? Was he a military? Did he work for the CIA? What got him to the point where he was essentially recruited by Deep Throat, because the suggestion is that he's certainly not one of the conspirators. He's not sitting in that little cushy room in New York with a suit. He's one of the guys. He's one of the guys they send out to kill. He's, and so he was always a tier below. But the suggestion always was that Deep Throat was probably recruited him, and that's why he had a certain loyalty to Deep Throat, which he admits to Mulder. But he definitely didn't. Deep Throat had that position of he was one of them, whereas X knew he was never going to get there, and he was always more in danger, and he was more disposable, and it was probably after the fact that Deep Throat dies that he's like, oh my god, if they can kill him, if they're willing to kill him, then I've got no chance.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
And it's so, yeah, you're right, Katie. That fear, even behind all this strength and this anger and this, the way Stephen Williams portrays it is really palpable.
Yeah, the acting is fabulous. Like, you can just, it's like palpable, the tension back and forth, and it's such a close up on his face.
The filming of that,
I love it.
It was awesome. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I like the way he's, like you said, when Mulder challenges the smoking man, Mulder, it's all about his choices in that episode. He chooses the light path as well. He doesn't, shoot the smoking man. He doesn't wait in his apartment to kill the intruders. He doesn't follow what X is telling him to do. Just let Scully go and go on with your life and just forget about it. And Mulder makes a choice to go on, on the good side.
I love One Breath. I need to go and watch it. I'm going to go and watch it after this. I love it. Jocelyn, what about your number 4 then? What's yours?
Well, my number 4 would be the first episode that I watched, which was Drive. I think Rob did a fantastic job with the direction. It's a brilliant thing. But the scene that I like most from that one is the one where Scully goes in her biosafety level 3 suit into the house to find vectors, vectors of this supposed disease, and then how they managed to get light with the inside, the whole suit, and how it's just how it's filmed in this pitch darkness, and just their faces lighted up. And then they find this dog, which is also dark, and they try to restrain him, and then the dog dies. That scene is a simple horror scene. It's really horrific because they're trying to find life vectors, and then they think they find one, and then he just dies in their arms. It's just horrific. It's really filmed. I think it's just beautiful, but it's just horrific. It's simple horror. So that caught my eye. That was the moment. And then, of course, when she finds the ELF waves, I went to the library and I read everything that I could find about the biological effects of EL wave and all the waves and all the things. But that scene struck in my head because I wanted to be I wanted to be an infectologist. So it just caught my eye. When I think Outbreak came around that time. So in the movie we see the suits, but just in plain light. But here we see the suits in darkness. So I find that scene just beautiful.
Yeah,
it's my pusher, like for you.
Yeah. Vince Gilligan.
Reminded me of E.T. when the guys in the suits come in, and that's just like a horror part of that movie. Not not quite as horrible. That's a really scary part of the movie, and why I can't really watch it anymore. But just the suits, and it's all
it is a whole
and
thing.
The woman turning around, she has no idea what's happening, and she can't hear, and suddenly Scully appears, and then that's horrific if that happens.
And then she starts screaming, and then it's just wonderful. It's awesome. It's not a horror episode, but it's scary. It's really, really, really scary. So I just
the
love
X-Files, they killed another dog. They're breaking all the rules of filming.
How dare they? Great Mark Snow music as well throughout that entire scene, particularly.
But the filming is just beautiful. The editing was just brilliant. But those really scenes, good. How do you shoot this full body armor? Not armor, the suits, and then find the lights within the suit. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, the lighting is gorgeous. Yeah,
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish we would look that good in a BSL-3 suit. Let me tell you. We do not look that good. We do not look beautiful. We do not look, with bright faces. It does not work like that. But in the episode, it was just awesome.
I need to try it now. That can be what I do next weekend. That could be my weekend. Go and test how I look in one of those suits.
Please send a picture. Thank you.
So yeah, my number 5 is going forward to, and this may surprise people in that I'm going to The Truth, the season 9 finale, originally the series finale, and I am going for the first 5 minutes or so when Mulder breaks into Mount Weather, because I think that if we'd have had like 80 minutes of that for the final episode of the X-Files, we could have had an amazing episode. But I think I may have talked about this when we did the pod watch last year. But one of the things that we got, the problem was that they filled the most of The Truth full of let's explain the mythology, and you got bookending really interesting scenes where Mulder and Scully are out like doing things and Smoky Man and caves and all this kind of stuff. But then those first 5 minutes are great because Mulder's back. Way, Mulder's back, and then it's like to me it's like a sci-fi blockbuster for 5 minutes in that
it's really exciting.
It's really exciting.
I had to go back and watch it last night because I didn't really remember it, but
it's a really cool like 5 minutes where he sneaks into this massive military base. He's avoiding people. He finds this supercomputer with info on, then he has a fight with Noel Rohr, the brilliantly named Noel Rohr. And it's awesome. And the sad thing is there are only fleeting moments then in The Truth that really get close to that. But I just wish we'd have had more of that kind of sci-fi action thriller excitement in season 9 and Mulder's appearances in season 9 in particular. It's just a shame, really. Because they could have done more with that for me.
Yeah.
It could have been longer for sure.
Yeah. But it's a cool moment. It's a cool 5 minutes. So I'm happy.
How he reads it December 22nd, and then the framing of the image, because we're reading his face as we are reading also the letters, is awesome.
Yeah, you just see a little bit of the text. Yeah.
But it's too short.
Have any of you freeze framed that? I've done it, and you do see some. So basically, we'll get to me. It's quite like, on this date, the alien colonization of the Earth will take place. And I'm like, would you really type that out on a computer that's pretty easily accessible? Like, once you're in that room, like you're not even coding it in anything. You're not even using other terms. No, it's literally someone's typed on the 22nd of December 2012, the alien invasion of the Earth will begin, and it will happen at the. It's like, who typed
don't
that?
sugarcoat it. Just lead right into it.
Yeah, who had that job? Imagine getting that on a piece of paper. You've got to type that in. You'd be like, oh.
He's probably dead now. Whoever did it.
He's like, are you sure you wanted to tell me this, sir? Like, this is like, it's fine. You'll be okay. But yeah. So yeah, the
you
truth.
think you don't want me to code it? Just leave it like that. Just type it like it is. Type it like it is.
Type it exactly.
Do you want a
as
password at least? Maybe?
It's an entry of my diary.
Dina, what's your fifth and not final, penultimate choice?
Penultimate.
Yeah.
Is Hollywood AD. Skin Man is calling me from a bubble bath.
Cue Sarah.
Yeah,
Cue Sarah, yeah.
It's such a great Skinner line where he just 100% straight face. I'm taking a bubble bath. Like, out of the three of them, Skinner's the only one that's just comfortable enough in himself to say, yeah, I'm taking a bubble bath.
Bubble bath, yeah.
And just the way the screen splits, you see Scully in the bubble bath, and then you see Scully and Mulder, and then, like, Skinner comes up from the bottom. It's just so fun. And Mulder, of course, tries to tell Scully, and it's still me, Mulder. And then Mulder is completely like, then he goes, oh, okay, hold on again. Like, tells him to hold on again. Obviously, like, no, wait, hold on here because I need to tell Scully that you're taking a bubble bath.
And Skinner knows that, too.
And he knows that.
It's like, yeah, whatever. More champagne.
More strawberries. I'm good.
It's so cool in that scene. So fresh.
It's the closest, that scene actually is probably the closest the show ever gets to the point where everyone involved goes, yeah, we're just having fun now. This is just a comedy show now. It's but it it's fine because for a start, the X-Files has a precedent of doing comedy shows that lampoon itself, and with a very much a self-awareness, and this is obviously one of them. But it's earned. You feel at this point, 7 seasons in, it's fine. All the fans, anyone who was just watching this for the first time would be like, isn't the X-Files supposed to be like a scary like thriller show? Like, isn't it supposed to be about like aliens and vampires and ghosts? And no, actually, the 3 main characters like sit in a bubble bath. But
2 of them are lying about it too.
Yeah. But for fans, it's just one of those great moments where you're like,
I think it also maybe shows who Skinner really is. We all see him so stuck up and serious and pucker up and kiss my ass. But he may be just fun. He may just be this kind of funny guy.
Yeah, he can let
right.
once
And
in a
also,
while.
Who embraces his bubble bath. I mean,
yeah, definitely treats himself.
yeah,
exactly.
Avatar and SR819 would have been better with a bubble bath moment with Skinner.
Especially
and
SR1.
Yeah.
To try to get the nanobots out of him.
Yes,
just in case he wanted to wash them out.
Oh yeah, we need to do a recut of those episodes just to put a bubble bath scene in. Okay. Katie, what's your number 5 then?
I'm laughing too much now. I'm gonna bring the mood down and go to Beyond the Sea.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
When after Mulder is shot, Scully comes in and just screams at Boggs.
Yeah.
That scene is so good because it's kind of the first time you really see Scully just, all her emotions with her father dying. She still is grieving. She hasn't really dealt with it. Mulder is injured and she's worried about him, and it just boils to the surface. And her voice just goes, louder and louder, and you can hear, by the end of it, she's just screaming at him, and she's done. And just, I have to quote the line. It's so good. "Nobody will stop me from being the one that'll throw the switch and gas you out of this life for good, you son of a bitch." Like, oh, so good. And it's thank you. And just like, you haven't seen her like that before. You've seen her, very controlled, even in the face of, a liver-eating mutant trying to get her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that was weird." But this is just, it's so good. And Gillian Anderson in that scene is phenomenal.
Yes,
I love it. And at that point, she's so convinced that Boggs is in on it, and he's just orchestrating it. And then the second he talks to her, that doubt starts to pour back in, and she's just a mess of emotions, and she doesn't know what to trust, or she can't trust herself, she can't trust him, and it just comes out in those few lines, and it's so good.
Probably the first episode really where Gillian Anderson gets the chance to chew on some proper meaty scenes as well.
Yeah, to really be the focus.
And really start to define Scully as a character beyond the simple believer skeptic archetype. Because and David Duchovny's he's had more chances to do that so far. He's had things like Conduit, which taps a little bit more into that emotion and the underlying things with his sister and things like that. Whereas Gillian Anderson didn't get the chance to do that until this one, and this is why this episode is probably, for me, it's probably the second best episode of season 1. Actually, I'd say after the Erlenmeyer Flash, that's my ranking really. But
Beyond the Seas.
For a lot of people, it would be their favourite.
It's in my top 5, definitely. Yeah,
it would. It would be the favourite one of the season. It's a great piece of telly because it does really give it the chance. And that scene's got such welly on it, and it really, really is powerful. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's no lead up. She just bursts in and just launches this, and it's great.
And the case itself is just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The case, and the actor, what's his name?
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
He's ace. He's
ace. As you say.
It doesn't matter what he's in. He'll elevate whatever
true.
He's in.
Yeah, you can't not watch him.
Yeah. He's marvelous. Really. Jocelyn, then you're number 5.
I'm gonna go back to Paperclip, but just because, and this is kind of funny because in my notes I can read it. It says, the scene where she goes to find that her sister had died, and then Mulder comes in, and then he tells her that that she should stay away, that she should grieve for her sister, that she shouldn't go back to work, and then she says, "I need something to put my back up against," which is basically a nod to Beyond the Sea and the first scenes that they have when her father dies. So, and I like to combine this with the note that Dina said in regards to Never Again. We see these scenes with her she's trying to make a choice, and the choice is always to be at work with him.
Yeah.
So it's always to keep the partnership together. I'm grieving. Yes, there's something going on. Yes, I need something to focus in my life right now. My work is my focus right now. So I like that sense of I need to put my back up against something that, she tries not to crumble. I'm not saying that she doesn't need to, or that it wouldn't be helpful, or that we shouldn't see it. Of course we need to see it. But she's a strong woman and she knows her place. So she knows that if she continues to do her work, she will find a way to heal herself. I wish we would see this type of things being dealt with. I said more, talking about it. But she has said this line almost 3 times in the show, almost the same line. In Beyond the Sea, in Paperclip, and then we saw it in Home Again. So,
yeah.
But they always go back to Beyond the Sea. She lost her father. She almost lost him. She was with this man who was telling the truth, but she didn't want to see it, but she told the truth. He was another messenger that she didn't deem worthy. And then, let's just go back to work. Let's just work. So I like that.
It feels like it's Scully's... It's part of what she does, It's part of that strength of character in that she's I need to do this. I need to be at work. I need to, and again, it's a very real moment in that lots of people would deal with grief in that way, in that they would go to work and they would try and just find a way to distract them or push them on or keep the wheels moving. It's a good from a realistic character point, really.
Well, she now has a mission. She said that she has heard the truth, but now she wants the answers.
Yeah, that's a great line.
And for her, the answers have to be whatever she sees or hears or she analyzes. Yeah. She has a hard time to believe in things, that people or third party says. So that line with the other line, that's just a beautiful scene. Yep. It's a beautiful scene.
Yeah, she has to be the one to go out and find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's personal.
Yes.
This time it's personal.
It's personal.
Yeah,
yes.
It really is.
Yes, Tony.
Yeah. Well, for my penultimate one, I'm going to go with... because I'm doing 7, remember everyone. So next round's going to be your last ones, and I'm doing one more to finish us off. And I'm going to go back to Amor Fati, the Sixth Extinction of Amor Fati, as Dina mentioned earlier, and talk about
a pattern here.
Yeah,
we seem to be repeating the same episodes.
There's a few repeats, but
it's true. We're touching on similar things, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it just proves how good they are, really. But I mean, I love the Biogenesis trilogy anyway. I mean, it's a real favourite of mine, and I think Amor Fati, the scene before Dina's scene, which was Scully coming in, the scene with Smoking Man and the aged Mulder at the end of his visions inside the machine where he's having the brain surgery, when you see the apocalypse, and it's the only time you ever really see fully what it will look like when the sky falls on them, and the aliens land. It's such a tease. It's such a tease moment where, you put that brilliant shot where you pull back from, and the Smoking Man says there's nothing to be done, and he opens the curtains, and you pull back from the building from him, and it's the end of the world. It's fire. It's these brilliant orange skies. It looks like something out of like War of the Worlds.
Yeah, the glow coming in. Yeah, is just gorgeous. Yeah,
it's amazing. Sort of glow in the sky, and then you see the alien, the ships, dropping bombs and all this kind of thing. And it brings home to you the fact that the colonization wouldn't just be this virus that kills everyone off. There'll be various stages of it. You'd have the bee sting that would infect people with the virus, and then you'd have the ABEs birthed and all that. But you'd also have essentially like a campaign of these advanced military machines coming down and bombing targets, and it would be like War of the Worlds as well, because you would have a response. You'd have a military response. You'd have the Air Force and all this kind of thing. So you'd have these super powered alien craft, which now we've obviously seen that are magical almost, coming down and attacking. So it just opens it up for me, and it's a great moment anyway between Mulder and Smoking Man. It's just so creepy.
It is creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mulder's age, the Smoking Man hasn't aged. They're essentially the same age now. Mulder's dying, and he's there saying, "Look, it's okay." He's trying to provide him comfort in this weird way.
In a creepy way.
Yeah, it's over. Just let go. Let go.
Yeah.
And it means more in terms of the mythic sense, because the whole episode, the whole three-parter is essentially turning Mulder into a Christ figure, and it's or trying to in some respects.
The
and
temptation of the Christ.
It's pretty blatant.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it's imagery.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that whole, but it is the smoking man as the devil, essentially turning around and saying, "Don't fight anymore. Let go. It's fine. Just let go of it all, and let go of the quest. Don't fight this anymore." And and that in those mythic terms, I love it for that, and that's great. That's why when the scene Dina mentioned is so important, because Scully comes in as the heavenly angel almost to fight back and say, "No, you're not going to give up. You're going to keep fighting. You've got a world to save." Even if it's not like, ultimately Mulder's not the Christ figure. Nobody is the Christ figure. The X-Files doesn't... Well, maybe William is. But nobody... or they try and make him that. But
that's like 2 hours more worth of discussion.
Exactly. Or they suggest that. But it is that whole point that it's not about saving the world. It's about going on. It's about continuing the quest. It's about that ultimate... the mission, as some of you have said before. And Scully he's the one to push him into that. But I love that whole thing.
Not giving up, yeah. Well, she said, Smoking Man was lulling him to sleep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've got to break out of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the temptation, the devil.
Yeah.
And I just love that whole episode. Anyway.
No, it is brilliant. It's a great episode. Through and through.
Underrated. Doesn't get enough love, but we'll give it lots of love on the Xcast. It's all good. So Dina, what's your final choice then of all these?
My last one is from Without, and it is when Scully kills the bounty hunter.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
And, generally I have a tough time with season 8. Like, I really don't like the mythology of season 8, but in Within and Without, there's still a lot of the old stuff in there. You have Gibson and you have the bounty hunter, and it's just such a cool scene because Scully finally sees an alien.
Yeah.
Like, she really sees an alien, and she knows to shoot him in the back of the neck, and she sees, him melt all green, and there's just the puddle of green goo. But then also it's really sad because she just falls down and cries because she knows that the bounty hunter was who was going to lead her to Mulder.
Mm.
Yes.
And now she's killed him. And so I really like that scene. And then also I remember a few scenes later, you see Mulder in the torture chair, and then there's all of these bounty hunters, which you never knew there's like an infinite supply of them. And I remember that blowing my mind at the time.
The clones of the bounty hunters.
Yeah, you don't realise that though. That's the thing. It's the first episode to really spell that out. That it's not just one guy. It's true, and it's great. You're right in that it's great that Scully has already knowledge about this. She knows about the green blood. She knows about the pipette, the back of the neck. She knows, or she knows that that's where to target. She knows, she says at one point, doesn't she, to Doggett? She says he's an alien. He's a bounty hunter. Earlier in the episode, with that, and he's like,
just very matter of factly. Yeah, that's what it is.
He's like, what? But but that's it. It's great to see that though, because there's no way that's one of the things she can't deny. That she knows that she's seen this too much too often, and she's done the medical research, and she knows that this stuff isn't human. So it's great to see that. I agree. It's a great moment. Yeah.
It's shot really well too. It's so tense. Like at the first, you kind of believe it actually is Skinner in the room, but Gibson in the reflection is
Yeah, that part's
great.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really good. Katie, what's your final one then?
Okay, I'm finally going funny. Clyde Bruckman's final repose.
Okay.
The beginning when the stupendous Yappy shows up. I love that whole scene. Yap Broker is so good.
Do you want to know?
I could watch it. Oh my gosh.
He is
so
good.
it's kind of a long, moment, but when the detectives are talking about, I don't care if he's a kook. I've worked with him before. He's really spooky, and Mulder shows up, and they're like, "Who the hell are you?" I love that, like the sleight of hand. And then when Yappy comes in, just his eyebrows and the way he talks, and just the descriptions he gives. Maybe the tattoo has the facial hair. I love that.
Yeah.
You expect Scully to be the one with negative energy, and he kicks Mulder out instead. And when he comes back,
negative energy.
Yeah, that's what you say with your mouth. But yeah, and just when Mulder comes back in, just the final description that Klein gives of their suspect, with or without a beard, who was impotent. Let's go. Just not questioning anything, just going. How are you going to find that guy? I don't know, but
he's
yeah.
He's what they should have brought back. I think they should have brought the Stupendous Yappy back in the new episodes, even if it's just for a cameo. They should have done that. He's brilliant.
So good, and it's kind of a lighter moment. I don't really consider Clyde Bruckman to be a comedy. I feel it. It's also my favorite episode ever.
It's a great episode.
It has much more of a tragic kind of weight, but that scene kind of starts out. That actually is, it's all like a laugh out loud funny.
I think
you get the weight of it.
Yeah, I think it's Darren Morgan's best episode. I mean, for the simple fact, you're right. It isn't just. It's a very, very black, bleak tragicomedy.
Yeah,
and it's a lot less farcical and zany than everything else he did. And that includes the new episodes, and they're all great. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy every one he ever did, but you're right, this has such weight to it and sadness.
Yeah,
while still being really, really funny at times. Having those lines and
Peter Boyle's dry humor delivery, and it's the whole thing. I could pick 30 moments just from that.
That's great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love this.
Good one, good choice. Jocelyn, then what's your last one?
So my final one would be Founder's Mutation. In Founder's Mutation, I have my love for this episode is without boundaries. To me, it's beautiful. But the line that I like is the line that I actually like, because it's just as the same as the quoting in I Want to Believe. She's like embracing her faith. In here, she's embracing her nerdiness, sciencing, quoting nature communications. Yeah. I have to say, I jumped, I laughed, I screamed, I searched for the paper. I was so happy. I just couldn't believe it. The first round, because I saw this live, I have to say that I saw this episode live for the first time in my life. Everything else behind or before had been in DVDs or VHS. So this was the first season that I actually saw live. So I was frustrated because I couldn't go back to hear the authors again. So I had to wait for the rerun to find the authors and then find the paper. But I was so happy when she just went in there like, full blown, I am Scully, I'm a medical doctor, and I know what I'm talking about. And there was a paper from Bettini and Hallas. What is she doing reading about evolution of the Y chromosome? What was she trying to actually read? So, but the paper itself it's awesome, it's amazing, but it's really cool how she brings that tiny detail just to the conversation, just to give them to approve whatever he's saying. He's not using this to actually confront him, to say, what, it's not like that. Science doesn't work like that. Actually, he's saying, he's approving whatever he's saying according to the alien hybrid. That's a first. That is a first in many, many, many ways. And in the beginning of the episode, she also quotes the case for the law against the victims or the perpetrators against using the phone. So she's just quoting sciences and cases just all over the place. So I love that. When Scully goes all sciencey, I love that.
I love that too. And I remember that line very well because when she said it, I remember going, I know that paper. Like I heard about it. I didn't actually read it, but it was in the news like when it came out. So I remembered hearing about it. And I also laughed because I'm like, yeah, Scully not only remembered the gist of the paper and what journal it was published in, but also the names of the authors.
Yeah. The first and second authors, like, she was like specific, Bettini and Hallas. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. And I love all when Scully gets all sciencey too. And my favorite one is when she does the Southern Blot, which is mostly because when because at the time, like when I was working in a lab and I watched that, it was just so cool to me. I'm like, Scully's doing all this stuff that I do every day, and I know what she's doing, and it's visually beautiful. And now like I don't work in a lab anymore, and I really miss it, and so it's like nostalgic. But yeah, I love all those science moments too.
Yeah,
it's nice we've managed to get a revival episode in. as well, because we hadn't done one.
You are welcome. You are welcome.
There's a lot to choose from.
There is.
Yeah.
There is. That's a good one.
But that scene, I mean, she just blurts it out. Nature communication. That's like that thing gets into my house every month. I mean, I have the prints. It's like, it's so nice. It's so nice.
That's so
and
cool.
it grounds it in the real world too. It's not, science
Yes.
fiction, fantasy, like that's there actually is science.
Yes,
grounding the show that you can call on.
And she uses it to approve his theory, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I had forgotten about that part.
She uses the paper to ground the fact that he's saying that just one hybrid can just give, birth to many hybrids. So, and then she's like, yes, I read a paper about that. I'm like, whoa. I was so happy, honestly. I was happy for days.
Yeah, that's good. It's the power of what the X-Files can do. Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to finish this off with my last one. And I think the best way to describe it is with a quote. And it goes something like this. From Mulder. Who's that black private dick who's a sex machine with all the chicks? Shaft! Can you dig it? They said it gets a whole lot of... Shut your mouth! Talking about Shaft. I did not!
Long story short.
Right, so, Bad Blood, obviously.
Oh, so good.
Just that moment, I cry with laughter every time he does that. And the way he says, I did not! Oh, that episode is wonderful. I mean, it frequently, whenever we do polls or we do Twitter tournaments and things like that, Bad Blood either wins it or it's in the final because it's so beloved by everybody.
Deserved. Yeah.
Well deserved because it's just wonderful. It's so funny, and there are like you said with Clyde Bruckman, you pick out 25 moments, or Jose Chung, you pick out 25 moments. Like, you pick out 25 moments from Bad Blood easily. That
Yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah. There's just so many. I mean, one of the things now I've managed to find, I think I found a GIF of the last, towards the end, where Mulder says, that is essentially exactly the way it happened. And Scully goes, yes, essentially. I'm now using that. If ever somebody says, what happened with this? I'm going to, or I have to sort of clarify something, I'm going to go, I just put that GIF now. It's just, that is essentially exactly the way it happened.
Oh, you've got to send us that GIF. I could use that for my
I will.
work.
I'll find it. Yeah, because it's brilliant. But
I wonder why they chose the Shaft theme song of all things for him to sing. Like, I wonder what the story was on that.
It's just the weirdest thing that could be coming out of his mouth, I guess.
I would bet that was Duchovny. You could just imagine that being Duchovny. Just, they were like, maybe there was different things written in the script, but I bet he went, what about Shaft? Like, why would he sing Shaft? Like, when he...
Shaft! Ready to go in his mind. And he's not looking at Scully when he sings it. He's kind of in the facial expressions. He's like really into it.
Yeah, he's in the moment.
Yeah, he's there.
He's in the zone.
He's in the zone.
You totally know he does it anyway. Like when he's at home on his own, he's just there singing Shaft. Like, just
He knows it like the back of his hand.
Yeah. I just love it. It's just a really great moment, a great episode. And I think with these 25, I think we've covered a real nice span of the show, and like the funny bits and the mythology bits and character pieces and things like that. And obviously everyone's 25 will be different. Everyone's 5 or however many they come up with is going to be different. Everyone will have their own things that we haven't mentioned. Some will be like, yeah, that was a favourite of mine. But that's the beauty of the X-Files. You could do endless variations on this with the X-Files, and you would find 25 different ones, and that's why it's brilliant. Really.
Yeah, this was tough.
Yeah, it was tough.
Trying to narrow this down
wasn't easy at all. So I think everyone's done really well to pick out some good ones. But yeah, so thanks for coming on to this Patron Roundtable. It's been really nice to finally speak to you all, because we've talked on the Patron Zone and things like that, and various different places. So it's really nice to finally speak to you, and hopefully this won't be your last time you're all on the Xcast. But
no, it's been fantastic. I was nervous, but I loved it.
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah,
good.
It's been blessed.
Yeah,
good. Well, before we go, let's go around this table that we're obviously all sitting at, and just say where where we're all from. So everyone knows who I am, where I'm from, and we'll put it all in the credits. But Dina, you first. Where can people find you if they want to find more about what's going on with you?
Okay, I'm on Twitter. My Twitter is DNutButter, so it's like peanut butter, but starting with a D.
Very good.
And, the Facebook group in there sometimes too.
Cool. Okay, Katie, what about you? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Not really a whole lot. My Facebook is private, but Twitter, I'm Designer Doe, DOE, which is my crazy last name. And that's kind of it. I mostly just post about X-Files, and I join in with you guys, and that's kind of it. So hopefully I'll start posting a lot more and getting a little more involved.
Awesome. So, Jocelyn, what about you then? Where are you lurking online? I'm
on Twitter. I'm at Jossa dos Bichos, like Teso dos Bichos, but yes. Jossa dos Bichos, Jossa. I don't have a Facebook, but I think I should open it now. I'm in the group.
Yeah, so, join the group. It's great.
Yeah, the group is fun.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I will do so. And I am on my Twitter every day, every minute, every hour. you can find me there anytime, anywhere.
Excellent. Awesome stuff. So, yeah, you're obviously, you know where we are. But if you want to be on episodes like this, you want to join these Patreon roundtables and, even more, join episodes of the show, talking some of the episodes of the show and actual, like, supplemental talking points and things like that. Do sign up to the Patreon. You can find that at patreon.com/the Xcast, and we have the Patreon zone, which is on a different place called Slack, but that's a great little group we have the obviously the Xcast basement, which is free for anyone to join, but it takes it to the next level being a patron, hopefully enjoying the little community and things like that, and it's a lot of fun. So come and join us, check out our Patreon, and you could be sitting here around this table talking to us about your favourite X-Files moments and more. So once again, thanks to all of you for coming on. It's been really fun, and we'll see you again. And remember, guys, as always, trust no one. The Xcast, an X-Files podcast, is produced and presented by Tony Black, alongside a dedicated group of podcasters and X-Files fans. You can find us on Twitter at The Xcast, and on Facebook if you type in The Xcast, or at our group, X-Files Basement, an Xcast podcast fan group, where you can continue the discussion about all things Mulder and Scully. If you want to support The Xcast further, you can now subscribe and become a patron of the show on Patreon. On Google, just type patreon.com/The Xcast. That's Patreon. You'll see all of our tiers, subscription options and perks, which include early access to episodes, bonus content such as commentaries on X-Files episodes, access to a patron chat zone, and even appearing on one of our patron roundtable discussions. We would appreciate any support you can give the show, so just go to patreon.com/The Xcast to find out more. Our title music is provided courtesy of Will A, who you can find on Twitter at IamWillAYE.